Welcome to Under the Surface, your monthly insider's look at the Perth Wildcats. Coming up, our Rio Reporters take to the court.
Do you have a nap before the game?
Catch up with Keegan Crawford.
Losing Doolittle 57 seconds into the game kind of throws your game plan out the window a little bit.
Meet our General Manager of Basketball Operations, Danny Mills, in the team behind the team. But before all that, it's time to go behind the basket with Bryce Cotton.
So I'm Bryce Cotton, guard for the Perth Wildcats, and I wear lucky number 11.
Here's Cotton getting a little bit of freedom and dropping down the long bomb.
I played basketball, baseball, football growing up, and just as I continue to get older, I just kind of stuck with basketball. And it's ironically one of those sports you can practice even if you're not on a basketball court. You can be dribbling outside on the street or dribbling in the house. So I just really took to that.
Cotton, he's in a mood at the moment, elevates, knocks down the shot.
And I'd say I first started to implement a daily routine probably at the age of 12. And I kind of stuck with that and, you know, continued to expand on what my routine may be, but it started at the age of 12. So I would say my freshman year of college, there was a guy who was projected to be a first-round pick on our team by the name of Marshawn Brooks. I didn't play a lot my freshman year, so I like to say I had courtside seats every night. And one thing I took away from him is he prided himself on working out in the off season, and then during the season, he maintained his body. So he made sure not to overwork himself because of how much he's used in the season. And I've taken that with me ever since. I mean, yeah, being out for a month, that's the longest time I think I've been out of any season in my life. And that felt like an eternity for me. So you never know when the ball runs out of air for anybody. So for me, it's like I play every game as if I don't know when the next one's coming.
To avoid putting away Bergens, Bryce Cotton's 5 of 5. Gets it back from Harris. Jackson. He's going to work.
I mean, I understand just the importance of, I guess, setting your mark, especially playing for the Wildcats in a lovely city like Perth, because if you carry yourself the right way and you guys have team success and individual success, as you can see, you know, the legends live on forever. When I first got here, I heard all the names of Crawford, Blauhoff, Ricky Grace, and you name it. So it's an honor to be mentioned among those guys, but I don't dwell on it too much because, you know, I just want to make sure I give it my all in the moment, and however I'm remembered, I'm remembered.
Sizes things up with 10 on the clock. He's got the defense at his mercy. He's got the crowd on their feet. And they rise for Bryce once more.
I mean, if I ever got a guaranteed contract offer to play back in the NBA, I'd be on the first flight back. But I've done a good job just staying in the moment, and you know, for me, there's no rush right now. I understand free agency is around the corner for me personally, but I just stay in the moment, and when it's time to assess my options, I'll assess, and then I'll do what's best for me and my family at that time.
Jackson Cartwright's really happening on Cotton at the moment. Now Bryce gets the ball, shot clock winding down. Finds his way inside.
These last, I'm in my 9th season now. Doesn't even feel like it, but I've just been enjoying myself, understanding, you know, how fortunate I am to still be playing this game at a high level. My body's still very healthy, so my level of gratitude above everything else has gone through the roof to just step out on the floor, and I think that's kind of always been reflected in my play.
Almanza pulls it down, back out to Cotton. He sides his way inside and lays it up. 57.
It's time to meet the Perth Wildcats General Manager of Basketball Operations, Danny Mills, in Team Behind the Team.
My role is General Manager of Basketball. I guess all-encompassing across the whole basketball department, which goes across, you know, coaching, medical performance, and then kind of a conduit up to ownership, and then managing down through the staff. Born and raised in Perth, so I went to Woodvale High School, so I always grew up in the north, played for the Williston Tigers, state teams here in WA, was fortunate enough to go to the AIS, so the Centre of Excellence in Canberra for a year, and then like a lot of young kids went to college in the States, played at Oregon Tech, and then I stayed in the US. I didn't come back to Perth, got into college coaching, and then I got into scouting, talent ID, front office management, and was with Philadelphia 76ers for 7 years in 3 different roles, and international scout based in Europe, lived in Berlin for 2 years, and then after that was based back in the US and was the director of scouting for 2 years before coming back home to Perth. So kind of a full circle after about 20 years away, came back to Perth with a young family. Obviously was a Wildcats fan growing up as a young kid, have vivid memories of the 90s, those teams in the 95 championship being at Perth Entertainment Centre for Game 3. I just loved the game. I was as passionate about it as you could imagine. I played for the state team six times. Like I said, represented Australia, represented Ireland in the senior national team as well. Have dual passport with Ireland through my dad. So yeah, loved playing the game, and I'm fortunate now to still be involved through my career. So I lead all of our player recruitment here at Perth. Obviously, in conjunction, John and I work very closely together on that in terms of how we put together a roster every year. Part of, within the NBA, it's talent identification for the draft, for trade period, and for free agency. Here in Australia, we don't have a trade period in the NBL, and there's no draft. So a lot of it's about identifying young Australian, local talent, Australian and New Zealand players, so we can get them into the Perth program. And then also, obviously, making sure that we're bringing in the right foreigners, so the Americans that come in and can complement those players as well. Our strategy 100% is to keep Perth at the top of the NBL, where it should be, and then also get our brand global. We understand the NBA is at a different level. That's kind of a different market in itself, but globally we want to be recognised as one of the best clubs outside of the NBA. As much as John and the coaching staff are within the moment, within every game, they're bleeding it, we're about the long-term sustainability of the club and making sure we're moving the club forward every year, both on and off the court.
Our Rio reporters take to the court and ask all the tough questions.
What's going on? What's your name and what's your question?
My name is Elliot, and how did it feel scoring 59 points in one game?
It felt pretty cool. That's the most I've ever scored in my life, so to do it at a professional level was pretty exciting.
My name's Hamish, and I would like to ask you, how did it feel to be good at basketball?
Good question. Obviously we get to play in front of large crowds and a lot of fans. When we're playing well and winning games, it's a lot of fun.
My name's Avalon, and my question is, who's your most annoying teammate?
My most annoying teammate? I don't think I have an annoying teammate. We got a lot of guys that love to play jokes, so I'd say our biggest prankster comedian would probably be Ty Webster.
My name's Darcy, and my question is, who has been your toughest opponent?
Ooh, good question. So this year we've had a lot of tough opponents. I would say either the Illawarra Hawks or Melbourne United.
What's your favorite food?
My favorite food? Ooh, I'm gonna have to go with calamari.
I want to ask you, do you have a nap before the game?
I do usually try to nap before the game. I get home from shoot around and try to take a nap, usually for about an hour or 2 hours, and then I'll wake up, eat, and go over to the game.
My name's Thomas, and my question is, what do you think was the weirdest difference from America to Australia when you first moved here?
The weirdest difference? I would say driving on the other side of the road. That took me a little while to get used to. And if there wasn't traffic, sometimes I actually went into the wrong side of the road.
What's your favorite joke?
Let's go knock knock.
Who's that?
Boo.
Boo who?
Why are you crying? We're just having an interview. It's all good.
My question is, does your daughter play basketball?
She doesn't play basketball yet. She just likes to run around and climb the monkey bars, but I'm waiting patiently for her to ask me to take her to a basketball court. But until then, I'll just let her do what she wants to do.
My name is Lawson, and my question is, when was your prime?
When was my prime? Oh, that's a tough question. So I am 28 years old, so I've been playing professionally. This is my 6th year. So I'd like to think I'm starting to get into my prime. I want to be able to play for quite a few more years. So hopefully I'm getting into my prime right now. I guess it'll be hard to know until I'm done.
Yeah, thanks, Dylan.
Appreciate it.
Now it's catch-up with Keegan Crawford.
The health hasn't necessarily been our biggest ally this year, so a big focus of us is the consistency on road games and back-to-backs, so we're training the right way and where we want to go.
Martin showed it to Withers and he took it away from him.
The injuries are always tough, like especially when it's to such key players, but we're really lucky that we have Todd Withers as a nominated replacement player, someone that I've had experience with in Otago and different times in the NBL through his stint at Adelaide, but with him being able to replace some of these guys, you know, we're still trucking away. We still have a little bit of a different identity with Todd on the floor, but we've been able to string some wins together with him.
Got it! Big time knockdown from Ben Henschel.
Our first home game of the doubleheader against the Hawks, we was against two high-firing offensive powered teams. We broke down a little bit in the fourth quarter with some fatigue, and losing Doolittle 57 seconds into the game kind of throws your game plan out the window a little bit. So, you know, we were doing a great job with some scout stuff, but just we burnt out at the last end of it. But one thing we've really tried to do and implement over our break is how we respond to these away games. Every year, you know, you have a new group. If there's a little bit of carryover or a lot of carryover. So our big additions this year, Dylan Windler, an import that we brought over from the NBA. He's slowly gotten his way into it with some injuries at the beginning of the year, but he's had some fantastic defensive assignments on guys that have hurt us before, and the NBL is just starting to see what he can really do for us. And then you look at guys like Elijah Pepper, another addition that's come in, can clearly shoot, another great young talent. Ethan Almanza, similar thing, and then Todd Withers as our replacement player for the year. Obviously, we need to get healthy, first and foremost, to have a really big push in the second half of the season. But regardless of who's in and who's not, we have complete confidence in our offense, in our ability to put points on the board. So we just need to do a better job of just sticking to some subtle defensive adjustments and making sure that goes over the course of a 40-minute game and doesn't just go out the window for a crucial 4 or 5 minute patch.
Handle Cotton, nothing is beyond the man. He goes from half court. Oh! Why not? Spectacular work from Bryce Cotton.
We'll be back next month with the next installment of Under the Surface.